Hey everybody, welcome to T. Roy Cooks. I appreciate you joining us for another Thursday Chatting with Troy, and this is a special edition. I've got a good friend from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, JB. He has his own cooking show. Perhaps you've heard of him. If not, click this iCard up here. It'll send you to Louisiana Cajun Recipes, which is JB's channel, and I hope that you do subscribe to his channel if you're not already subscribed. So JB's kindly offered to answer some questions that you have asked me. So I hope you will allow JB the courtesy of answering some of your questions on my behalf, and I may follow up on some of them just for my own input. But this is a wonderful episode, folks. If this is your first time here, and if you've got questions for me or any of my future co-hosts, ask them in the comments down below. If you've got questions or you're curious about any of the YouTube channels I may mention or any of the products that JB or I may mention, just click show more beneath the video. That'll open the description box for you. You'll find all the information there along with a list of the questions and where at in the video they are answered. So let's bring JB on board. JB, welcome to T. Roy Cooks.
Hey there, everybody. I'd like to thank Troy at T. Roy Cooks for having me on the show today. Thank you, Troy.
Cheers to you, JB, man. I appreciate that very much. And again, man, JB, you were the inspiration, my main inspiration that got me going to making YouTube cooking videos. I didn't know anything about it, but watching you made it look so simple, and I just dived in there and went for it. So again, thank you very much for all that you do for all of us here at the YouTube cooking community. We're all a large family, and if anybody's the daddy of it all, I'd say JB is. Cheers to you, my friend. JB, go ahead and take this first question. I'll give you the honor of that, man. Go for it.
Let's see here. We've got a question from Pit Dog. He hadn't seen Troy inject anything, and so do you ever inject? Personally, I don't inject like brisket or pork butt because of all the fat that's in them that naturally base that meat. I do like to inject denser cuts of meat, like I add around roasts and what is that, pork loin, whole pork loins, to get some flavor inside. And one of my favorite injections for those is simply like Dale's or Moore's marinade, which has got a lot of salt in it and garlic and other flavors. What you say, Troy?
Thanks, JB. Yeah, Pent Dog, I appreciate the question first off, and I appreciate the support, but I don't really inject a whole lot. Like JB said, the beef, I just don't really do it unless it's a tougher cut, and I usually don't buy the tougher cuts, to be honest with you, unless I'm doing a stew or something. But what I will inject sometimes is poultry, especially turkey or a whole chicken. You know, if I'm doing beer can chicken or something, I may inject that, or a whole turkey. But or turkey breast, for that matter. If I'm smoking just a turkey breast, I'll inject that. And it's usually just some type of a mixture that I whip up depending on what I've got in my pantry. You know, it's probably going to have some salt and pepper. It may have some type of Italian herbs you mixed in. I may go Mexican. I may throw some cumin in there, or some type of ancho chili powder or something. But you know, whatever I have in the pantry is what I will use. And what I'll do, I'll make a mixture and either soak it in some like hot water and just let it sit there for an hour or so to let the flavors mingle in the water, and then I'll strain off any of the seasonings that are larger chunks, and then I'll inject the liquid. So that's the way I do it. Yeah, I don't really inject a whole lot, but there's some wonderful products out there. I'll try to do some more injection for all of y'all, because I've had quite a few people that ask me about that, so I'll see what I can do for you on that. I know injection does make the meat juicier, you know, and if you inject and then wrap, even better. But I know it works really well with poultry because poultry is just so dry. It doesn't have any marbling in it, doesn't have a lot of fat content, so all of your lean types of meats, you know, even stuff like bison, elk, ostrich, you know, stuff like that, you can inject that kind of stuff. Anything that's really lean, deer, you know, venison, that would work well. So that's the way I would go with it. But again, I just use whatever I've got in my pantry. I don't really go out and buy anything. So maybe I'll come up with some kind of injection, dry powdery mix for you guys that y'all can mix with some apple cider vinegar or some water if you want, or some beer. Maybe I'll sell that for you in the future if I can come up with a decent one that I like. So we'll see. Let's see what else I got here from, who's this from? This is from, is it? Let's see here. Bear with me, folks. All right, Chris Blackman. Chris says, Troy, love your channel. My question is, do you taste the difference between long smokes on the Weber Smoky Mountain and the Big Joe? Yeah, it's not that profound of a difference, but yeah, there is a slight difference. For one, the Kamado Joe is cooking using lump charcoal, so it's actual real wood. And you put wood chunks in there to help with the smoke flavor. But the Weber Smoky Mountain, you're using charcoal, which is a different flavor, all right? And you're using wood chunks on the charcoal. So yeah, you'll get a difference in the flavor that way. The main difference in the flavor that I personally detect is that when you're cooking low and slow on the Kamado Joe, and I'm still working on this, so don't hold me to this, but from my experience in the past, when you're really closing down that bottom vent on that Joe, you're closing it down so much that it's more like a smoldering fire more than a burning fire. And you get a little bit of that smoldering type flavor in the meat. But I'll tell you what, the Kamado Joe so far has surpassed my other cookers as far as having meat come off of it that's juicy and tender. So it's got that going for it. And again, I just fixed mine recently on the lid that had a gap in my lid. And the folks at Kamado Joe helped me fix that. So I need to do some more cooks on my Kamado Joe low and slow to really test out that comparison that you're asking about. So I'll do that sometime in the near future here, probably after I leave work and have more time during the day to do some testing. So y'all look forward to that. JB, you got another question, buddy?
Big Meat Sunday. John. Hey, John. Have you ever tried a hanger steak? I have, and they are delicious. The deal with them is there's only one per animal, and it's down from around the diaphragm area, close to the skirt steak, right by it, and it can be a very, very tough cut of meat. So you can marinate it. It's beef, okay? You can marinate it, and then you'd want to sear it real hot, real fast. Don't take it past, I wouldn't even bring it up to medium. It should be done medium rare max, and you got to be sure you slice it across the grain. Very, very flavorful, beefy flavor, and you don't see them often because the butchers like to keep them for themselves. That's how good they are. What you got, Troy? They sell them over there by you?
Yeah, JB, I've actually tried some of the hanger steak from Lobel's, and I'll tell you what, I understand why the butchers want to hold on to that. It's like I think they call it the butcher's filet mignon. It is super tender as long as you don't overcook it, like JB said. You just cook it to nice rare, maybe medium rare. Definitely slice it across the grain, folks. But it is succulent. It's really beefy flavored, and in my opinion, it's better than filet mignon. I may try wrapping that in some bacon sometime for y'all. We'll check that out. But excellent, excellent stuff. Thanks for the question, John. Big Meat Sunday. Y'all go check him out. Links down below. JB, you got another one?
Mike Hausman. What is the length of time to rest meat? I see lots of different times out there, up to an hour. Is the meat still hot after an hour? I've taken like a pork loin, wrapped it in heavy foil, like twice, heated up an ice chest, put it in the bathtub with hot water, and then dumped all that water out to superheat the structure. Put some heavy towels down on the bottom, then wrap that foil loin in newspaper, several layers of newspaper. Put another heavy towel down on it. It's still steaming warm. When you open it up, it's almost still too hot to hold after 2 hours. Because we'll take it to my mother-in-law's house, which is about 2 hours away. And it depends on the cut of meat as to how long. Let's give that. What you got, Troy? Tell us all about resting meat.
Thanks for responding to that, JB. I appreciate it, man. You got some insight on that one. And Mike, thanks for the question, buddy. I appreciate the support. I usually have my cooks here at my house. I don't usually take my food to family members or whatnot. If we're doing a long, slow barbecue, I invite them to my house, so I don't have to travel with my meat. But JB's right. If you're traveling, you know, and you're going to have your meat done 2, 3, 4 hours before you're going to arrive at your party or wherever you're going to, the family gathering, you definitely want to do like JB said. You want to wrap that thing up in some nice foil. You want to put some blankets or some towels in your hot cooler. Wrap some newspaper around it. Wrap it again with some towels, and then put some more towels or some type of like a comforter or something on top to retain that heat. And you're right, man. When you take that thing out, it's like you just took it off the smoker. It's still smoking hot. You see smoke. It's probably too hot to handle with your bare hands. So it will last a long time bundled up like that. For me personally, I found that the time needed to rest a piece of meat is usually about, I'd say, a quarter to half the amount of time it took to cook it. And I know when it comes to briskets and pork butts and ribs and stuff like that, that's a long time to wait after you pull that meat off. So generally for a brisket or pork butt, I like to go at least 2 or 3 hours. And I don't fully wrap it. I usually just tint it with foil loosely and leave it on a butcher block or some type of, some place where it can catch the drippings, because it will drip a little bit of the juice out of it. So you don't want to have juice running all over your floor. But yeah, I just loosely tint it for 2-3 hours, and that usually suffices. But if I've got time to wait for it to fully rest, yeah, if I've got a 10-hour cook on a brisket, I'll loosely tint it with foil, fairly tight, keep it a little warm, but I'll let it rest 4 or 5 hours, and then I slice it up. That's the preferred way that I like to do it, but generally I don't have that much time to let it rest. 2 or 3 hours max is usually the way I roll. Appreciate the question there, Mike. Let's see if I got another one here. River Smokers, my buddy Rich, man, y'all saw me wearing, he sent me a shirt, that's what it was. Rich, I appreciate the shirt. I did get it in, and I will be wearing that on a future video for all of you. Y'all go check him out. Rich's River Smokers, West Virginia, I believe. I'll put the link up here for you, okay? He says, Troy, Rich with River Smokers, just watched the 21st episode, and I really enjoyed the show. I appreciate that, Rich. Thank you very much. Thinking about getting a stick burner to sit along with my Weber Smoky Mountain. Was wondering if you've ever used or know anything about the Meadow Creek Smokers. They sell it at my local barbecue store, and I'm really leaning on this smoker. Thanks, Troy. Keep on smoking. Yeah, Rich, those are some really nice smokers. I hadn't really actually heard of them, so I did a little research on it for you. They look very well built, man. The welds look really nice, and they are welded, like the firebox is welded to the cooking chamber and stuff, so that's really nice. I like the price range of them, and the weight of them tells me that it's probably 1/4 inch or maybe 3/16 inch metal on there, which is, that's a thumbs up from old T-Boy here, man. But I like the design of them, the way that they have it, the firebox a little lower, and then the smokestacks coming out at a good place from the exhaust over there. Looks really nice, man. I'd say go for it, man. Hands down, folks. Y'all have heard me say this before, but hands down, the offset smoker produces the best barbecue. And that looks like a good one, Rich. I'd say go for it, man. JB, you got another question?
Avila 92 writes in she recently purchased her first smoker and how to season or burning in for the first time. A lot of manufacturers recommend you spray them down with some, or wipe them down with some cooking oil would be better than spraying it, because the spray tends to stay sticky, whereas the oil will actually burn in. And so you should actually do a dry smoke on it the first time. No water in the water pan. Build your fire. Try to maintain it around 250 with no food in it to burn off anything that's inside of it. Let's see, who else? Jeff Urau asked how often to reseason it. You probably don't have to reseason, but you should season or put some oil on your grates before you use it every time. Be sure you clean your grates first with a wire brush. That's how I do mine. How do you do yours, Troy?
Thanks, JB. I appreciate the input again, man. Avila92, thanks for the question and thanks for the support. I'm glad you're enjoying these. And I'll just keep doing them as long as you guys keep asking questions, okay? But when I first get a pit or a smoker, even like the Weber Smoky Mountain or a kettle grill for that matter, it comes from the factory and you've got oil coating the inside, okay? You want to burn all that off like JB said. Just do just a basic cook on it at your normal cooking temperature you were going to cook on for a smoker, 225, 250 range, somewhere in there. And fire it up, like JB said, with no meat on it. And just let it go 3, 4, 5 hours, however long you can stand to let it do its thing. And that'll cook the oil from the manufacturing process off the inside. And then what I do, I mean, you can spray it, but like JB said, it's kind of sticky. I like to take some like grapeseed oil or peanut oil or some high temp oil and coat a dish rag or something with it and just coat the full inside, everything on the inside, the grates, the inside of the lid, the stem on the thermostat, thermometer if it's got one, everything on the inside. Coat everything, okay? And then do another cook with it without any meat on it and let that bake in. That's basically gonna season your pit. And as JB said, I don't season it again after that. But what I will do, especially on my Yoder Wichita, which is cast iron, instead of repainting it, and I mentioned this before, instead of repainting it, I'll rub oil on the outside. And again, it's the high temp type oil, and it's usually around the firebox that you'll start seeing that paint bubbling up, or you may see a little rust spots here and there. And that is because that paint, that firebox gets so hot with those logs in there burning that it's just hard to keep paint on. So I treat it like a cast iron skillet. I'll rub down the outside, but I'll rub down the entire outside, okay? And that helps keep it preserved. It'll treat it like a cast iron skillet. It'll last you forever, folks. Really will. Let's see, do I have any more questions here that I can answer? Yeah, we got one here from Jatil, Elton's Barbecue Pit. Jatil, what you got here? Have you used Stubbs products? If yes, what are your thoughts? Yeah, man, Stubbs is, I think they're from here in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. And they do have some great stuff. I like their marinades real well. I haven't really tried the barbecue sauces and stuff, but their marinades are really, really wonderful. I do use them on occasion. All right. The beef one, I know, to me, it has a little more like soy flavor than I like. I'm not a huge soy sauce fan, but it works wonderful. Okay, and it does leave a good flavor. I've used it like when I'm doing jerky and stuff. It works wonderful for that. So there you go. Appreciate y'all. Go check out Jatil. Again, Elton's Barbecue Pit. Link down below. Just click Show More. JB, you got another question?
Chris Stankatis. Hope I said that right, Chris. He got a quick question. To soak or not to soak? I see a lot of people who say soak the wood chips in chunks before using them, but many YouTubers don't, and it's not really clear. Was just wondering what is the pros and cons to make his statement, his question short. Well, if you're going to grill with the chips, you would want to soak them, or would. Otherwise, they're just going to ignite instantly. If you're going to smoke with them, don't soak them. Unless you're using like sawdust to cold smoke something and make sausage, then you want to wet that sawdust to where it'll clump together and hold a clump in your hand before you use it to cold smoke something. Because you want it to smolder, like say for making sausage or something like that, at 160 or 140 degrees, which is considered cold smoking. Had a friend of mine took 2 pieces of wood, hickory I think he said, and boiled one in water, weighed them both first, boiled one, and just soaked one in water, just cool tap water. After 30 minutes, he shut the fire off and let the chip, the one that was soaked, boiled, he let that one cool off. Pulled it out and weighed them again. Pulled both of them out, the one that was boiled and the one that was just soaked. The one that was soaked picked up very, very little weight, just a couple of ounces, whereas the one that was boiled picked up like 30% more weight. Because when you heat the wood up, the pores expand. Then when it cools down, it starts to suck that water back down in them. And that's similar to resting a steak. That's what's going on there. Because all the juices tend to go out to the end of the piece of meat. Then when it starts to cool down while it's resting, tinning and fall, it pulls those juices and distributes them back evenly through the meat. It was a good question too. For smoking, don't soak, especially larger hunks. For grilling, soak. That's my opinion. How y'all do it over there, Troy?
Yeah, I'm with you, JB. And Chris, thanks for the question, man. Yeah, if you're grilling, I use it like a firebox on my gas grill. I've got a little smoker box, they call it. It's a little rectangular box. I put wood chips in there, but I do soak them before I put them in there. Because JB's right, man. If you just use unsoaked chips right over the fire, they're going to flame up on you, and you'll get a little bit of smoke, but not much. So definitely, if you're grilling, soak them. If you're smoking, use chunks, and there's not really a need to soak them. So let me see if I got some more questions here. I got one here from Byron Chandler, my good friend Byron. Where you at, man? You always try to be the first one to answer or comment on my videos. I appreciate the support. He says, really enjoy your chat videos. Thanks, Byron. How did you get the name T-Roy Cooks? Keep up the good work, buddy. Yeah, thanks, Byron. I have answered this one before. When I originally started, I had Space Cowboy TX as my channel name. As I got to doing more cooking videos and getting more popular and starting to get, close to 500 or so subs, I think at that point I decided I better change my name on my channel so that people will know that I'm a cooking channel. Like if I go comment on somebody else's channel, leave a message for them, and it just says Space Cowboy TX, they have no idea that I'm a cooking channel. But if they see T-Roy Cooks that commented, then they may click my name, go to my channel and subscribe. They may check out my channel, that kind of thing. Also, other people that leave comments on that channel that I left a comment on, they may see my name and want to check it out too. So it's a little way to get a little bit more publicity that way for your channel, help spread the word around. But as far as the name T-Roy Cooks, my dad used to call me T-Roy. All right, my real name is Troy, T-R-O-Y, but my dad called me T-Roy. So that's just something that stuck, and in honor of my dad, who's no longer with us, I just chose to use T-Roy Cooks. And also there was another Troy Cooks already on YouTube. I think it's a dead channel, but still, I didn't want to get confused with somebody else. So T-Roy Cooks is what I chose. I appreciate the question, Byron. Got another one here, Damian Johnson. Damian's over in Louisiana. He knows all about this Cajun stuff. Damian says, have you ever cooked beer battered shrimp? And if so, what type of shrimp would you prefer, and what kind of beer would you use to mix with the batter? Yeah, Damian, beer battered shrimp are excellent, man. I really do. And I like using, if I don't want to mix up a homemade batter, I like using the Louisiana fish fry products, man. Really some good stuff. Either that or some Zatarain's. Zatarain's has a little bit more kick. But the Louisiana fish fry products there in Baton Rouge is where I like to go. They're from Tony's Seafood. That's where JB goes and gets his crawfish for the spring fling. As far as batter and beer, though, I like to use like a Shiner Bock, some type of a darker type beer. The size of the shrimp, I don't like them to be huge because they're too big, to be honest. I like more like the, maybe the, I'd say 8 to 15 per pound, somewhere in that range. Probably closer to the 12 to 15 per pound. That'd be my taste. So I don't like it to be huge. I like to be able to just, and not small like popcorn shrimp either, but those are really good. So nice medium size with some type of a dark beer. Shiner Bock would be my first choice. Great question. JB, you want to take the next one, man?
Ellen's Homemade Delights asks, how long have you been cooking, and what age did you start cooking? Everybody in my family cooks. I learned from my mom, my dad, my grandma, my uncles, my aunts. Made the first meal for my family at age 10, and it was a simple pasta and meat sauce, homemade meat sauce, with some garlic bread. Mom made a salad, and it was good. Got my first smoker in 1976, and I had a grill up about a year or 2 years before that. I was pretty young back then, and I've still got that one. That 76 model was built really well. That company's out of business, but and now I own 3 smokers and 3 grills. Yeah, love to cook. It's a great hobby. Plus, you get to eat what you done.
Thanks, JB, and great question, Ellen. Ellen has her own channel. She's fabulous. Again, hit show more down beneath the video. Go check out Ellen's Homemade Delights. I started cooking, let me see, I actually was in the kitchen with my mother or my grandmother, just watching them cook. And I remember sitting on the counter, man, I was knee-high to a grasshopper, probably, 2, 3 years old. I was real little. And I used to love it when my mom would bake cakes. And it was 3 of us. I have a brother and a sister that are both younger than me, but since I was the oldest, I always got to lick the bowl, and they got to lick the beaters. So, and them raw eggs didn't kill us, folks. I know y'all crazy about that stuff these days, but, we grew up fine. Anyway, get back to the story with cooking. I'd say probably my first experience actually cooking something for my family would be, I was probably 10 to 12 years old, and I made some homemade potato salad. And I did have my mother's recipe that I went by, but she was not near. She was actually at work, so I made it by myself to go with dinner that we were having that night that she was going to finish cooking when she got home. So I went ahead and prepped that for her, and it turned out fabulous. Everybody enjoyed it, and it's a wonderful potato salad. If y'all haven't checked that out, put that link up here for you, and I hope y'all go check it out. It's a wonderful recipe for some homemade potato salad. In fact, I think my mother actually is in this video. What else we have here? Let me see. I think I'll ask a question. I'll answer a question here. Small Town Barbecue, another great channel. Y'all go check him out. Can you overwrap a brisket, say with butcher paper or foil? Good teachings on videos. I would attend your class if ever offered one. Yeah, I do hope to do that someday. So yeah, stay tuned for that. When I get all my ducks on the row, I'll be doing that, man. If not live, then having people come over. I may do them live on the internet too. I don't know. I'm working on it. But yeah, man, if you noticed on that video where I did recently, where I had the naked brisket, the one in foil, and the one in butcher paper. The one in butcher paper, when we unwrapped them, did not have very good bark on it. All right, and you also noticed the butcher paper was not oily looking. Okay. And I've had people ask me this, and yes, I had seen Aaron Franklin's video where he did that test 2, 3, 4 years ago, and I have the means and the ability to try it, and I've had people ask me to do that test. So that's why I did that. But yes, I definitely knew Aaron Franklin did it before I did. But if you notice, the butcher paper, like I said, it didn't have oil on it. It's still brown paper. It wasn't a dark, oily, like oil had been soaked into the paper. That's because I overwrapped it with the butcher paper. I should have gone just one layer around the brisket with the butcher paper. And I will do that test again for you, hopefully soon. But that was my mistake, all right? Live and learn. I know now, do not overwrap your brisket with butcher paper. You want just a single layer going around it. You don't want to double or triple wrap it. Because, again, you won't get a good bark, and you won't get more smoke into it, because the paper is going to allow smoke to get into the meat as well after it's wrapped. So you're preventing your brisket from getting a good bark and preventing it from getting more smoke. But and you notice it did turn out pretty juicy like that foil wrapped one because it was overwrapped. Okay. Generally, the foil wrapped one would have more juiciness than the butcher paper wrapped, and the butcher paper wrapped would be more juicy than the naked one. So the butcher paper wrapped should be the best of both foiled and naked. The best of both worlds. But yeah, you can definitely overwrap it just like I did. It was my first time trying it with butcher paper, and I screwed up. Again, live and learn. I'll know better next time, and hope that you guys learn from my mistakes as well. That's why we're doing this, right? We're a community, right? JB, you got another one?
Mike Ehert. Hope I said that right. I'm bad with names, I'm telling you. Have you ever cooked steaks directly over wood or coals? He found this idea. It was called the Eisenhower method, because that's how President Eisenhower liked his steaks cooked directly on the wood. But I didn't have a big enough hunk of wood for the steak that I had, but I had some wood chips. I think they were hickory chips. And I got them hot and got them started smoking and starting to catch a fire. And I put a grate directly down on top of them on the fire pan area, and put the steak right on that grate. And boy, that was the best damn steak I ever had. It was fantastic. Almost tasted like brisket. Try it. Yeah, you should definitely try it. And he wants to know if you're going to try that on a video, Troy. I did. I made a video of it. What you got?
Great question, Mike. Thank you very much for the question, and thanks for the support, man. And JB, great response, man. I honestly have never tried that. I've seen people do it. I've heard of people trying it and telling me that it's the best steak in the world. I definitely want to try that. Definitely do. I do love the flavor. The best way I found to cook a steak, in my opinion, the way I like it, is to cook it over direct flames from wood. I can definitely do that in my firebox on my Yoda Wichita. And yeah, we'll be doing that soon on video. So y'all stick around for that. Y'all know I love my ribeyes. Definitely do. Let's see what else we got here. This is a question from Rusty. This is about fat cap up or down. JB, what's your take on this, man? I'll let you take this question.
Rusty KC wants to know about smoking butts or briskets, fat side up or fat cap up or down, and why. I would imagine I like them fat side up. I think the fat cap, as it melts, helps baste that meat for you, so you don't really have to baste it. That's my opinion on that. And he also wants to know about wrapping. You know, how do you wrap? Butcher paper, foil? If so, at what temp? I know Troy just did a video on that, 3 different ways. Not wrap with paper, wrap with foil. Tell us all about that, Troy, because that was really interesting, the results you came out with.
Another great question, Rusty, and thanks again, JB, for that, man. I'll tell you what, man. The way I look at it is, and I generally do cook fat cap up, as y'all have seen in a lot of my videos. But what I have found, though, is that you want that fat cap to protect your meat from the heat. For instance, if you're cooking on a Weber kettle, I would cook it fat cap down because those coals are so close to the bottom of that brisket or that pork butt. So I would go fat cap down. If I'm using my my Weber Smoky Mountain without any water in the water pan, if I'm using sand or ceramic briquettes, that's going to produce a lot of heat right there, right up under the brisket or pork butt. So I would go fat cap down in that scenario. If I'm using water in the water pan on my Weber Smoky Mountain, I'm going fat cap up. In the Kamado Joe, I go fat cap up because I usually have a water pan or something over the heat deflector. So it's not direct heat coming up. It's more like heat coming up around the sides, like the Weber Smoky Mountain. It comes up around the sides, hits the lid dome, and comes back down on top. So that's where the heat's coming down from the top on that, okay? And on my Yoda Wichita, my offset, I've got my brisket or my pork butt usually on the stack end, the smokestack end, which is the furthest away from my firebox, so I don't have to worry about the heat from beneath. Again, I cook fat cap up. So 9 times out of 10, I'm cooking fat cap up. But great question. Let's see. He also says use butcher paper or foil, and it's so at what temp. The only time I usually wrap is if I am being rushed to get a cook done. I generally do not wrap. I don't wrap ribs, pork butt, briskets, any beef ribs. I don't usually wrap any of that. But if I've got a stubborn piece of meat, like I mentioned before, and it's just not getting through that stall quick enough, and I'm running out of time to have this meat done for a party or something going on, then I will wrap it when it's in the stall, or just as it hits the stall, I'll wrap it. And then once it starts getting up to around 180 or 185 internal, then I will open it up, not totally unwrapping it, but open it up so that that bark can crisp back up on the meat. And then I'll let it finish cooking open like that, and that bark will be crisp by the time you get it off of there, okay? So that's the way I do it generally. JB, why don't you take the next one?
Tom's Barbecue Pit Stop writes in and asks, when you first upload, you mention unlisted versus private. He says he's been uploading in private first. Is that the same? Is unlisted better than private? Can someone find the unlisted video on my channel before I make it public? No, they cannot. They have to have that link to that video to be able to watch it. So you can send that to, in unlisted, you can send that to as many people as you want and they can watch it. They can share it with somebody else too, and they could watch it. Now, in private mode, only people on a list that you create, when you upload one in private, it's going to say, who do you want to share this with? So you can select different YouTube users that you want to share it with. Only they can see it. They can't reshare it with someone that's not on that list. And nobody can really find that video. Just, it would be an accident if they were to find an unlisted video, because normally people don't just go looking for unlisted videos. But all videos do have to be within YouTube's community guidelines, even unlisted and private ones. So you got to be careful what you do, or they can delete your channel if you get some claims or strikes against it for that kind of thing. What's your take on that, Troy?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, JB, and great question, Tom, man. I generally upload unlisted at least 24 hours before my video is going to be public, and that'll give YouTube servers time to propagate my video around the cloud that they have built up around the world. A bunch of different servers, like in Australia, Europe, Germany, Russia, South America, North America has buku of them. So giving that video 24 hours to be uploaded to YouTube but unlisted, that allows YouTube to spread it around so that somebody in Australia, when they see my video that I finally make live, I make it public, they're not having the video stop and skip and start and all that. It's smooth playing video for them because they're watching my video from their local server in Australia or wherever they may be. Now, one thing, I think YouTube has fixed this recently, but the only time that somebody would usually ever find your video that was marked unlisted or private would be if you, when you uploaded the video, if you marked it as part of a playlist. Then if somebody saw that playlist, they would be able to see your video that was unlisted or private. But again, I believe that YouTube fixed that so that you can't put a video in a playlist unless it is public. But you know, just be careful with it. I'd go unlisted. That's just me. I have done private, and like JB said, that's only for a select few that you have granted access to be able to view that video. So it's very limited access. But let's see. What's that, JB? Oh, yeah. Go ahead, man. You got something else to say?
Back on that reseasoning the grill question. If you use wet, like green wood that hadn't been properly aged or dried out, not only will it give your food a bitter flavor, but it can build up an excessive creosote deposit inside of your grill smoker, I mean. So, and that's going to be hard to get out. You may have to scrub it with a mild soap and water and rinse it really well, like with a scrub brush or something, try to get that off. Because I've actually heard of people, like on a Weber Smoky Mountain that's well sealed, they did that and the lid stuck. They had trouble getting their lid off because of the creosote that they had built up. So.
Yeah, you're right, JB. Appreciate that extra input on that, man. And I'll tell you what, that if you got creosote, it's usually because you're burning unseasoned wood, okay, green wood. One way that I've seen a lot of people that get that off the inside of your pit is to use a weed burner, one of those propane weed burners. You can burn that creosote off and just scrape it because it's like tar, okay? So you can burn it off and then scrape it with a scraper while it's still hot. But man, if like my pit, I know y'all have asked me to show you cleaning the inside of my pit. I honestly don't have to because I'm using seasoned wood. If you're using good wood and you've got proper airflow, meaning you're not getting white billowing smoke all the time coming out of your stack, if you've got good proper airflow and you've got nicely seasoned wood, you're not going to run into a problem with creosote. So proper airflow, use good seasoned wood if you're using an offset. You won't have to worry about cleaning the inside of your pit. In fact, I don't even oil down my grill grates on my offset. They are seasoned because of me smoking so much meat on there. I will take a brush and I'll brush them off real quick to get off any stuck barbecue sauce or rub that may have dripped on them. But other than that, I don't have to oil them up or anything, and I don't oil the inside of my pit at all either. I just oil the outside of it maybe once a year, a couple times a year maybe, but or whenever it needs it. If I start seeing some rust on it, and I've got time, I'll go ahead and rub it down. And when you do that, though, you want to fire the pit up after you rub it down, and that opens up the pores in the metal, expands the metal, and allows the metal to absorb that oil. So the oil actually gets in the metal. Just the very thin outer edge of the metal, mind you, but it will penetrate the metal and help keep it from further rusting and stuff. And over time, you'll develop a nice black sheen like a cast iron skillet. JB, take the next one.
David Steen has a YouTube question that Troy has inspired him to start his own channel, and he has a couple products. He'd like to use I use and like YouTubers I'll be mentioning: Troy, Ballistic Barbecue, Russ, and Smoky Ribs, and some others. Is there a rule permission protocol involved and special permissions from business entries? Business entries generally like it when you promote one of their products, but these other YouTubers, you should ask them, is it okay if I mention you on this video? Give it to them in unlisted mode and let them look at it. If they say, no, I don't like the way you said that, that way you haven't made it public yet, so you can go back in and change whatever it is. So you know, if you're just making fun of somebody like, hey, my buddy Troy over there in Texas cooks whatever, that, something like that would be okay, but you got to watch what you say, and you definitely don't want to put down any business. That's against YouTube's community guidelines. Like, you can't say this place sucks. They can get really, the business themselves can complain to YouTube and file a complaint against you. So you just got to be careful. If you're promoting a product saying, hey, this is a good product, I really like it, you should try it, hey, that's fine. Businesses love that. That's free advertisement. How about it, Troy?
Very good question, David, and congrats on your new channel, man. Y'all go check him out. I'll see if I can put a link to it down beneath in the show more description. Generally, like JB said, if you're talking positively about some product or some other YouTuber or person, a celebrity or something, generally they're not going to care, okay? But for instance, JB's collaborating with me on this Thursday chat. Now, just out of courtesy, I mean, he didn't ask me to do this, and just out of my own courtesy and because I'm good friends with JB and don't want to upset him in any way, once I finish editing this Thursday chat, I will upload it unlisted. I'll send JB the link. I'll ask him to review it and let me know if he would prefer that I make any changes. So what you're seeing now is the video after JB has already reviewed it and approved it, I mean, I'm just doing that as a courtesy. I don't have to do that, but as a courtesy to a good friend and to a fellow cooker on YouTube, it's nice to be able to do that. And also, too, I was going to mention, like, when you're doing your product placement in a video for a company, it's a real good idea when you're uploading your video to go to the advanced section. There's an advanced tab. You've got the main editing info, you've got your monetization tab, there's some other tab, and I think there's an advanced tab. On that advanced tab, At the bottom right, there's a box you can check. It says product placement within the video. And you don't have to tell it what company you're doing a video for or anything like that. Not that you're making any money. It's just you're letting YouTube know that there's a product placement within your video, so that, for instance, when I do Lobel's videos, I select that option. I've got product placement in my videos, even though I'm not making any money off of YouTube. I'm off of Lobel's. They're not sending me any money, but they are providing the meat for me. So what I'm telling YouTube by checking that box is that I've got product placement within my video. They will look at the video, and when they run ads for my monetization on my video, they won't run any ads for any competitors of Lobel's. All right, so they're not going to show any advertisements for any other meat companies out there. They're just going to let me do Lobel's, and they'll show other types of videos, but nothing that would compete with Lobel's. So I hope that makes sense. And again, that's nothing that Lobel's asked me to do, but it is within the community guidelines for YouTube, and it's a good practice to get into if you've got product placement. Also, if you've got people like JB helping me with this video as a collaboration, on that advanced tab, you can list other channels or other people that are involved in the video. Again, you don't have to. It's a good idea to do it because it is in the YouTube's community guidelines. So just be careful with it. Try not to hash on people, or hash on companies or anything. Talk positively if you're going to mention them at all, and usually you'll be okay. You got another one, JB?
Ruben Mendez writes in, when cooking a brisket, do you use logs as a fire source? And if so, wouldn't cooking with smoke for too many hours make the meat bitter? It can, yes. It surely can. What you want to do is, before your fire starts to die down in your firebox, obviously you must be talking about an offset or a stick burner. You want to add the log while you still got a fire burning in there. That way, when that log, it's going to ignite pretty quick, and very little smoke would come off of it, and so it's going to be making the heat. And don't use green wood again. Got to make sure it's well seasoned. You could also take one of those inserts that go in a fireplace. You know, those log racks that sit on the bottom, and light the log on fire on the ground, like on the concrete somewhere, out in the dirt in your yard, and get that log going, and then use those fireplace tongs to pick that log up and put it in your firebox after it's fully ignited. So there's a couple choices. I've actually done that. You ever tried anything like that, Troy?
Yeah, I agree with you, JB, and great question, Ruben. I was mentioning it a while ago with the creosote issue. Proper airflow through your offset. If you have proper airflow where you got that thin blue smoke coming out of your stack, you're not going to run into any problems with your meat being too bitter. What you're doing, your wood is providing the heat and some smoke, but mainly the heat source to cook the food. You are getting a little smoke touching the meat as it passes through the cooking chamber, but most of it, if you've got proper airflow, is blowing straight out that pipe for the exhaust, the stack. Now, what I have seen people, like some of the larger barbecue joints here in Texas, what they will do, they'll go ahead and burn down the logs so that you've got nothing left but coals. And they'll have like a separate little pit where they're doing the burning of their logs. And then they'll shovel the coals out, shovel the coals out, put the coals into the firebox of the pit, and just have the heat from the coals going that way. Plus, again, you get a little bit of that smoke. Now, I will say, and I think I've mentioned this in like how to cook on my Yoda Wichita and stuff. If you have a log or a stick of wood that you're putting on your pit, and you, again, like JB said, put it on while the fire's still burning. You don't want it smoldering. Get some flame, in your firebox. Add the new log before the flame dies out. When you first add that new log, that wood has to come up to temp before it will ignite. While it's coming up to temp, you will see a little bit more smoke, like billowing smoke coming out of your smokestack for 10, maybe 15 minutes. Then that should die down once the wood's up to temp and is flaming within the firebox. So you will get a little bit of billowing smoke, but it shouldn't last very long. And just keep the vents on your pit the same as you've had them for the entire cook to maintain your temp, and you're good to go. Your meat won't be overly bitter as long as you've got a nice thin blue smoke. Hope that helps, Ruben, and good luck with the cooks, man. JB, got another one?
Two-Step 69. He says, Troy, hands down, you know your barbecue. Question, he needs a good beef rub, not too salty, and a good rib rub. On my beef, all beef, I like salt and pepper. That's my opinion on beef. You know, if say you put a rub on it and then you dip it in barbecue sauce, that's two different flavors. I like to taste the beef. Okay, you want barbecue sauce, add that. Or I don't even apply barbecue sauce to any of my, anything I smoke. Beef, pork, chicken, ribs. I'll make a good rub. It's really sweet. And with it, I don't need any barbecue sauce. I just like a sweet rub. At my channel, I sell that. And I'll use it on chicken and pork and, you know, ribs. Pork ribs, not beef ribs. I like them salt and pepper only. What's your favorites, Troy? What do you like putting on yours?
Thanks for the support there, Two-Step 69, and I agree with JB 100% on the beef. Salt and pepper is the way to go. Man, beef is so flavorful. You really want to have that beefy flavor when you're tasting the meat. So yeah, salt and pepper mainly for me. You know, beef does like garlic, so every once in a while I may throw a little garlic, maybe a little cayenne, which if you didn't know, when you're using cayenne on smoking and grilling and stuff, the heat tames down the heat. The cooker the heat from the cook tames down the heat from the pepper. So it's not kicking spicy like you're taking a raw spoon of cayenne pepper, putting it in your mouth. It's a different flavor. You get more flavor than you do the heat, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, mainly just salt and pepper, which y'all see me use on my briskets and beef ribs. For poultry and let me see, for poultry, I like more of I like a savory flavor more than a sweet on my poultry. But I may go with some type of like a rosemary or oregano type, or maybe some thyme on my poultry. For ribs, pork ribs, pork butt, stuff like that, I do like it sweet. So I do like a lot of brown sugar, sometimes some mustard powder, sometimes some slight cinnamon or slight clove. And again, you can throw in like some type of pepper, ancho or chipotle peppers in there to give it a little kick, or cayenne. But generally, you want a nice sweet type rub on your pork. That's what I would go with. JB, dude, I appreciate you joining me today. I think this is about all we've got for today. You got any last words?
I really want to thank Troy at T-Roy Cooks for having me on the show today. And I want to thank all of his fans for watching and the comments that they sent in and questions. It was very interesting. It's a very good show, Troy. And great channel you got. Been doing it for a good while now. Old T-Roy. He's been over here to Baton Rouge. He's actually over here from Port Allen, I believe. Port Allen, Louisiana. And he'll come back and visit his family and friends and things down this way. And he's been here at the house and for parties that we've had, the crawfish balls, and great guy, fantastic guy. It's always good to see him and his darling wife. Keep up the good work, my friend. Y'all take care. And le bon temps roulé. Aboard. Lâche pas, la pot. No. Lâche pas, never mind.
Cheers to you, my friend. Appreciate you joining me here today, JB. And man, from my heart to you and your family, You are cherished, my friend. Very, very do appreciate it. All that you do, again, for all the community out there, for YouTube, and for the world, for that matter. Glad you're in my life, buddy. Let's see. Oh, I know I was going to mention. JB mentioned his rub. If you're interested in buying it, y'all go check out his channel. Again, the link's in the iCard up here. I'll put a link also down beneath for JB's email address. JB's Couillon Store at Gmail, I believe is what it is. But I'll put a link down beneath in the show more. Just click show more. Again, thank you, JB, for everything. I appreciate each and every one of you for watching this special episode with my dear friend JB. And really do appreciate it, JB. So if you got questions, ask them in the comments down beneath the video. And folks, as always, y'all like this, y'all give me a thumbs up. Y'all be sure and go subscribe to JB if you're not already. We'll try to get some more co-hosts on here in the near future. But again, I hope y'all share this video. And if you do, please tell all your friends that T-Roy cooks responsibly. Cheers, everybody.